Hey guys, we're back. This is what happened, the big dive up in the top side, 3-on-1. You may think, okay, more numbers is better. Should be able to kill the Swain. The answer was no, as he took out Hanwha and Linderong in one fell swoop. Got 2 kills, held off the dive, and ran away from it really happy.
And that's how you knew this game was probably going to be one and done, but to the Hanwha Life's credit, they were able to extend it out. They were able to use the Smite talent out of lane a lot better than in the laning phase, which is not necessarily the sign of a winning game, but it's a sign of trying to salvage what was a really, really poor start and a huge misplay around Cuvée. If you called the game over after the Cuvée play, you were proven right in hindsight. They tried to spare their blushes, a couple of nice moves, but by the end, Cuvée was a really big birdman, and sadly, Hanwha Life were drawn into a game number 3.
Yep, he was a big boy indeed. He did a huge chunk of the damage for his team, and TP's in here to help out Ambition, who honorably gave his life away for 3 extra kills for his team. Gen.G just got way too far ahead. The cleanse on the Lulu also really important in this one to deal with the Sejuani. Great choice there. And it was just a done deal. Anytime the Swain was in the fight, you were not going to win if you were Hanwha Life.
Watching the final closing moments of this game, because it did drag on. A lot of the games today have been on the longer side. The changes in 7:13 to the death timers and also stopwatches, 8:13 I should say, to the stopwatches and all of the death timers. I don't know why I have 7 on the mind so much. Just popping Ambition might have been one way. This was in the commotion of the fight in the mid lane, but CoreJJ comes in. Very nice taunt flash, nicely played by CoreJJ. Will Cuvée win the MVP for his turnaround? Your prediction is probably yes.
Yeah, I think we can go ahead and give him the MVP. Turns it around, has some really fantastic team fighting too. You notice that the engage here towards the end was kind of half-hearted, did not work out, and that was that. Nice pickup on the last kill there by Ruler, and there's the damage. Nobody on Hanwha Life really did much of any damage in that game. It was all the Gen.G show from beginning to end.
So we've seen the Nunu Karthus. We've seen the mid lane Talon. What next does Hanwha Life have left? After we crown our MVP, it's Cuvée.
Yep, we could have called it 6-0-5 on this Swain, 85% kill participation. And just a huge chunk of that damage. It was only his 2nd MVP. Cuvée hasn't really been the best top laner in LCK so far, but he has his moments here every once in a while.
Good to see it on the carries, as he's largely been on picking for team duty. It's nice to see he can flex over to the Swain once in a while. I want to see more of it. Give me the lane focus from Cuvée that we've been denied for the better part of 2018.
Giving us the blank stare. The stare of a killer, of a Swain. Linderong, we're still waiting on him to have a big performance. Kled in game 1 was not great. Gragas in game 2 was even not greater. So we'll see what he does decide to bring in here for game number 3.
Seems like no subs are going to be brought in on either side. No siding on Kuzan or any of the litany of subs on the side of Rocks. That must mean pick and ban.
So we're back to the blue side for Hanwha Life, and that doesn't mean that we could have some more shenanigans. So you're on the red side, you really don't get too much of an opportunity to ban much instead of those top 3 bans. You see what happens when the Nocturne gets given up. You win the game. Nocturne currently 21-4 here in LCK.
Second ban in game 1 was the Galio, setting up for a first pick Zoe. Well, Hanwha Life Esports, will they return to that ban? They will, saying we would love to first pick the Zoe. Seems very likely, as the bans are usually pretty inflexible on the red side. I guess you could argue banning Zoe, leaving open Taliyah as an option, especially as Hanwha Life Esports have gone on record and said, we think that Songwon's Taliyah is not good enough, so we will only play it in mid. They could break this. It's not a blood pact, but it is something they've said on record. Swain the final ban. In the first rounds, they repeat their bans for Series 1.
Yeah, it makes sense, especially for Hanwha Life. Gen.G, they're not able to switch up much unless you want to take a big risk. So Hanwha just going to go with what worked. Wouldn't be surprised to see the Zoe coming in here once again. Take away one of her big counters in the Galio. there are other counters out there. We saw some Fizz earlier on in the first series tonight, but we'll see if Fly wants to get that aggressive and actually go ahead and directly counter her.
An Ezreal takeaway will come here from Ruler. Second game in a row on the Ezreal. No Tahm Kench to pair it with, so the best friends have been parted. What do they want to pair it with, though? You could take the jungle pick here, or jungle is available. This time around, the Kindred couldn't be banned. So will we see Sungwon be jumping on the Kindred? Kindred and Zoe, a pretty fearsome mid and jungle duo.
It's interesting to see the Ezreal picked up this time. They decided to move away from the Xayah Rakan. The Rakan was the first pick for Gen.G in game number 1. Didn't work for them. Of course, they had a lot of trouble against the Zoe Leona bottom lane, so they're going to mix it up. Kindred left open. They're going to go ahead and pick this one up.
Does mean the Nunu Karthus is very unlikely to be repeated in this game. They go for a traditional jungler in the first round. Someone going to be stoked to pick up his Kindred as we're hovering Master Yi.
Lava is not really a guy who trolls the champion select. Then again, things can change, right? Nothing's set in stone. Ash going to be picked up here.
It's late at night, so I understand you being baited by hovers at 11:10 p.m. Korean Standard Time. Ooh. Ambition. We're going to go Skarner. We are. Oh boy, a lot of memes created around Ambition Skarner. His reputation for being a bit of a killer has been put onto many Korean memes. And the Skarner was one he brought back in those famous 2016 Worlds qualifiers, whereas Trinity Force Skarner was one of the big reasons that KT Rolster were gate-kept out of Worlds that year. Skarner comes for the first time in a while, and of course, ult the Kindred out of the Lamb's Respite with the Skarner ultimate. Second round here, remember, with the Ashe being prized, the Mundo will not be able to deal with a Darius this game because they can ban away Darius. Go for another coverage ban. Gnar and the Kennen have been the two other big picks into the Mundo.
Probably looking at one of those, or perhaps a different counter here against that Mundo. Down to 3 seconds. They're putting a lot of thought into this pick. It will be the Gnar that is taken away.
You're not too feared of a on-hit Kennen coming through from Linderung. Certainly a champion he could pick, but we've already seen a lot of teams find it hard to close games with the on-hit Kennen. The only team we've seen win with it was actually QV and the team of Gen.G. Final ban on the blue side is going to be the Lulu saying, "Fly, what you got?" So much of his champion pool they've played this season has been accounted for. The Orianna was buffed in recent memory, and it would be a very slow tempo champion, but one that fits in with the draft. And they're saying, hey, we're going to take it late. And you know what? They've got a pretty damn fearsome late game team fight.
Maybe we can line it up so this game ends when the World Cup starts. That would be ideal. Everybody could just switch the channel, although we're not on TV. Get what I mean? Interested to see how the Orianna is going to do up against this Zoe. Morgana just great pick down in the bottom side. He's been loving that one across the board, so we'll pick it up once again.
And they have their options. They can try to go for the Gragas and rely on the Cask, but that didn't go so well last time. The Gangplank scaling matchup is possible at Linderung 0-2. On the Gangplank so far this season. Does have a Kindred, so does have a lot of help, but he's going to actually settle on the Kennen. We have seen both schools of Kennen against Mundo. The AP is much more risky, but there's 2 AD threats on his team, so maybe they feel like it's possible. That would be Unsealed Spellbook. If it is the on-hit, then it's going to be something different from the side of Linderung. Probably press the attack. Final pick here if you want to pick for lane, which remember, Gen.G won game 2 without picking for lane. This time they will pick for lane. They'll take the Soraka, trying to beat the Morgana in the 2v2.
Yeah, I like the pick. It's going to be interesting. And who can really get into that back line? They have a really nice front line with the Skarner and especially the Mundo, of course. The Ashe arrows are going to be blocked by a lot of stuff. Paddle stars as well. Kindred can't dive very deep. He's got to flash in as well as the Kennen. So you're going to have to go really, really deep if you want to get on top of that Soraka. Not going to be the easiest thing to do as you have this composition for Hanwha Life.
And I'm just so interested to know which school of Ken it is, because you worry if you look at the side of Hanwha Life that a 600 AP Orianna shows up, Shockwave gets an instant kill on 5 people because they are intensely squishy. In lane, the Soraka is able to poke out the Morgana, and in a team fight, the AoE is going to be too much for a single target Black Shield. So compositionally, you do see Elo Heaven for Gen G later, but Gen G have been guilty of this many, many times. Pulling it to late, protect the Cogmore, a comp like this. They do have some bridging. They do have the Ezreal to help bridge them there, but there is certainly an element of risk because Orianna in the LCK, for it feels like 3 splits now, has been just bullied and never really got the full value of for the longest time.
I think it definitely will come down to the jungling earlier. We'll see what someone can do to try to set things up towards the mid side alongside the Zoe as well as Ambition. He really needs to be a big presence on the map. You know, we saw that with this Nocturne. We'll see if he can do it once again here on the Skarner as the countdown has started. Let's jump into Game 3, the final game of the night. Hanwha Life Esports up against Gen Z, jumping into Game 3.
수환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다. 미니언 생성까지 30초 남았습니다.
I really feel like the fan cheer goes off the lead cheerleader and how loud she turns out to be. He or she. It's usually a she, but sometimes you get that one really big fan.
It's not always fully innocuous. A lot of those cheerleaders are also members of organizations. But that's a dirty thing. At the end of the day, you want to drum up your support wherever you can, and both these teams are going to be shouting about the fact that one of them is going to be that much closer, that much more entrenched in the top 5. Strong level 1 here from Hanwha Life in basically every role. So happy to walk up, take control of the jungle, and find a bit of predictability about Ambition on this Skarner.
Yeah. They will certainly have a nice early game in this one. They're going to go ahead and move in, take the red buff away. We'll see what the response will be out of Ambition. He's not necessarily the most aggressive guy that's going to go ahead and try to counter jungle. There's already the one ward that's down that would spot him moving into the red side jungle as well. So will he just accept the 3 buff and move along and try to, you know, stay behind the Kindred, accept that he is behind? Or what will he do? Will he actually go for the aggressive play into the enemy jungle?
They desperately want a summoner out of Fly. That's why Sungwon's walking out.
Oh, with red buff. Could do a nice amount of damage here. You notice that, you know, they're not going to kill him or get any summoners, but it's definitely very big. Look at this. The mark is on this one, and he has a smite available. Ambition going to deny the first mark away from the Kindred.
It would have kite downwards as there's level 2's being popped. Look at this.
Well, this is Soraka in the lane. Also with the Ezreal, they get level 2 first, and they poke him out in the lane.
Nicely played by both Ambition and Gen G. You're right, he probably will have to accept the 3 buff. He didn't have to give up the Scuttle, so still was able to pick up a lot of resources on the bottom side. I like the approach from Songwon. Fly was in the middle of the lane. Probably should have been a bit further to the bottom, because that's the side the Skarner was on. The play there was just, well, if we get a summoner out of Fly, he's really in trouble for this laning phase, and how powerful Kindred and Zoe are as a duo. They get a potion, I say a couple, a potion out of the Orianna, but no bigger reward.
You see this Lava's not having the easiest time of dealing with this. Cuts his Paddle Star short to eat the QW combo, the Shockwave, rather the Dissonance, I think.
And let's talk about
the W.
Let's talk about the Dissonance buff, because that was the thing that changed on patch 8.13, was W had 2-second cooldown removed, and this was listed under the small changes patch. And I looked at that and said, wait, to me that's huge. Just like Gragas having a static 5-second cooldown on his W from the 8 seconds scaling down. It's a big change because previously Command Attack has this comically short cooldown, but you can't combine it with the Dissonance more than once in a team fight, maybe 2 in a very extended team fight. But removing 2 seconds makes your harass pattern so much more reliable. And also the mid lane Zoe, who's all about poking in with the portal jump, your QW, which of course is going to be basically hitting 100% of the time, given you know the exact slow return of the Zoe onto the same spot, you actually have a lot more trading patterns than work. And we're also seeing other Orianna strategies open up. Yesterday in the LPL, LGD were playing bot lane Orianna. And while that's still unexplored for LCK reasons and we haven't seen it yet, there's other things you can consider when your wave management and trading ability is now that much better.
Yeah. They call them small changes, maybe because it's only 2 seconds, but that's actually a massive trade, as you did pretty much cover there.
It's 22% cooldown reduction for free, because it was 9 seconds before. That's pretty cool. If you can roll up with 22% cooldown reduction on one of your core abilities. It won't change the max, still going to be command attack max, because scaling cooldown reduction is usually what you put points into over just pure damage, unless the damage is insanely beneficial. But just like with the Gragas going QE, it will be QW for the Orianna, but focusing on the cooldown reduction where you can.
Yeah, curious to see how that lane does develop. One thing I also did want to note is that Ambition, he took the first mark that was on the first Scuttle Crab down on the bottom side. He actually got the second one too that was on the top side. So he took both of the Scuttles away from Sungwon, and he took both of the marks away from Sungwon. So far, this subbing Ambition has been working out for Gen G.
Ambition is the prototype of a jungler who should be able to sit on the bench, watch a game one, and adapt. Ambition is a very smart player. He's credited for a lot of defensive shot calls, not the aggressive shot calls. Usually it's around defensive shot calls, but you see a team that's running Karthus Nunu, with the Nunu doing all sorts of hijinks, and you say, let's control this team. Let's make them predictable. I think Cuvée deserves much more credit than Ambition for game number 2. But after Cuvée got ahead, I think everything fell into place. It was once again the old Samsung Galaxy strategy that Gen G was employing. Hanwha is still on a very powerful jungler, and he's going to be able to pick up the Scuttle on the bot side with Key roaming up. But this is not actually to the detriment of the mid lane. It may be 10 CS, maybe overall 1 minion wave, but Fly's doing just fine.
Yeah, it's interesting that actually Key and Songyun got the first roam from the bottom side, because we saw early game they were just pushed in the entire time, but I think it was Core JJ and Ruler actually just went for a back, and they weren't there. That's kind of what it looks like, because it was actually pushing in from Songyun and Key, and the scene is completed for the Ezreal, so it's kind of what I gained from that one. Sungwon finally is able to pick up his first mark after all. He's looking for a blue buff. This is very aggressive. Is going to commit to it though.
This summoner's up, yeah. But you know Core JJ is potentially going to counter roam here. Level 5 on both Key and Sungwon.
Sungwon's really quick on this one, and actually Lava will pick up the blue. So the ideal situation pulling through for Hanwha Life, as the 3 buff and another buff goes over to Hanwha.
Nice thing for me is it's a very ordered engage by Hanwha Life Esports. This team has not always been so well drilled, but there's plenty of interviews with the Korean teams talking about burning the midnight oil, scrimming till 6 a.m. And while I'm not endorsing that, it does mean that plays where you need multiple things to come together, pushing in the bot lane so the Ezreal can't roam, Soraka free to walk up, but not enough to turn it around, get a bit crisper, get a bit cleaner. That was very well executed from them. But notably, Ambition may not have Predator, but he does have level 6.
Yeah, we'll see where he does want to go in here. Has his flash. There's actually no wards this time around towards the mid lane. Could have thought about it, but the pings are actually going down, so they do know the, approximate location of where the Skarner is going to be. And they might be able to confirm that by the new ward that was placed by the Skarner. And so they will just go ahead and have Lava play safe and be safe and sound.
Let's do some bookkeeping. Sorry to fans out there, we never actually confirmed the build path for Linderong. Mentioned that press the attack would mean AD, and we get the confirmation it's on hit. Execution is calling, Berserk agrees. This build does one thing really well. It just shuts down Mundo in terms of him having a health bar that's very relevant during the laning phase. You either auto-attack Mundo or you auto-attack the turret, so the turret will invariably go down. We've seen this recently from Griffin in the draft that I heavily criticized. The reason why I criticized it there is that the only thing they managed to gain in the second round of a draft was Cannon into Mundo and the Zac pick into the Sejuani. While both of those on paper do good things, as a duo, if your win condition is that Kennen is going to push up with the split push, if that's the only real advantage you get in the draft, your jungler needs to be a Kindred that can play around pressure, not a Zac who's very much about the ganking instead. So there was a disconnect between those two champions. Here, We have on-hit cannon, meaning they're going to have a pushing priority lane in top, and an invading jungler in a Kindred. So this is a much more clean draft of the on-hit cannon.
Yeah, I like the idea. You know, just got a small look at the top lane as Kive wasn't too scared to go ahead and fight up against him. But either way, is going to have the advantage. The cannon will. And Ambition, once again, just not scared to challenge him. The arrow is going to sail very wide as he was aiming at the bot lane. Didn't hit anything. Maybe just an arcane shift out of the way.
Look like a goal to me, Valdez.
Yeah, I mean, it went through the what do you call them?
I'm not going to answer that for you.
The goal? The net?
It doesn't go through the net. It usually goes into the back of the net.
Okay, that makes sense. The back of the net, I guess you have to call it the back of the net because it's big enough. We just call it the net.
They're goalposts, Valdez.
Oh, okay. Goalposts? We call them the posts.
That's fair. That would have been acceptable too.
Yeah. Look at this, though. Ambition.
Got the Predator.
Doesn't see him just yet. Looking for it now. The Predator comes through and the flash shot in. They want to kill him here. There's the shockwave. Isn't enough. Lava is able to double flash out of there. Says, see you later. I'm Zoe.
What a bonus. The double flash was actually very needed to get him fully out. But of course, Ambition had flashed in. Thank you very much, says Lava. A real one, a counterfeit one, an escape. A famous one for Lava.
You know, maybe had he not flashed in, maybe he just takes a little bit of turret damage and pulls him back and they get the same amount of calculation and one flash doesn't get him out of dodge there.
Let's think about what would have happened there. Let's watch the replay to kind of ruminate on that. Valdez comes in, would have got him roughly around above the flame. And then if he had done the famous Skarner booty trick where you turn around right at the end of the suppression to get the extra... Look, I know it's funny, but again, I'll repeat this. It's a pretty standard Skarner mechanic if you're an experienced Skarner player, but as the suppression is about to time out, if you reverse the direction of your character model, the person you're suppressing moves behind you. I think if you did that, that would have actually been enough displacement that he wouldn't have given a flash, but I'm sure Ambition just wanted to flash on the mid laner. It happened to be a Zoe.
Bit unfortunate. This time the arrow is going to land. The question is, Ruler with all of his summoners, can he get away from this one? Core JJ also flashing. There's the trouble bubble, though, and there goes his life as the flash comes in. Hanwha able to pick up first blood.
Only just, but only just maybe enough. They're proxying the minion wave as well, but crucially their minion wave hasn't arrived. Probably not going to realistically be a turret take here as Core JJ's around to throw Qs and annoy people.
You see that someone has the mark actually onto Soraka. Probably thought they would have an easier time to kill the Soraka, but it means that he doesn't pick up his mark in the gank because he only kills the Ezreal. So kind of awkward in that one. I think he's still on one, maybe two marks. We didn't see the second one.
Watch the replay here. Poor JJ got the spoiler when he saw good old Kindred coming through. Goes on to Ruler first. They get the summoner from him, and honestly, he would have escaped, but look at that. The cannon minion almost juked into the trouble bubble, but was able to curl it through. Maybe we're going to see a pretty sick 30-yard goal in the World Cup to follow what was a very nice bend-it-like-Beckham moment from Lava.
That cannon minion, not a team player.
No.
Kick him off the bench.
Someone's getting a yellow card for that.
Just throw him off the team for that one. Not a good play. Fly moving forward, actually. Has Key right in front of him, but he's not scared. He has Cleanse. Just trying to spot out this Rift Herald right now. Hanwha Life on the front foot. You know, they get that dive in, and now they're looking towards a very easy objective, relatively, for the Kindred.
When it comes to objective play, it's pretty clear what they want to do. They've got Zoe, they've got Morgana, they've got Ashe. They're looking for picks. Picking a picks, annoy Fly, but not going to actually get his Cleanse out.
Yeah, even Lava not going for it. Speaking of going for it, Ambition up here says, haha. Here I am. Nice ultimate. And does not go in.
Amusingly, Cannon doesn't actually care too much because he's AD Cannon and had no items. So his Cannon ult wasn't going to do anything. Goes back and buys most of a Blade of the Ruin King for the I want to continue dunking on Cuvée build.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing decently well. Didn't even have to flash for that one, just pops his ultimate. Scuttles away.
His ult is really only to stop people CCing him because he is the AD Cannon.
Yeah. trying to steal this red buff away now. See what they can do. The smite fight goes in. Actually, someone pushing forward the red buff. Who did that actually go on to?
I
Looks
missed
like
it.
Ambition was able to take it away.
No, Ambitions is timing out. I'm not sure.
Huh. Okay.
I'm going to guess maybe the mid laner. One of the two mid laners, I believe, has
maybe
red
the
buff.
Orianna. It's actually really annoying on Orianna.
Hawk wind up is already pretty annoying.
Yeah. Just all of that extra damage that stacks is just not ideal if you're facing against it. Rift Herald is going to be popped down in the bottom lane here.
This is big for Hanwha Life. Remember that Gen.G counterpicked the Morgana support with final pick to get first pick, to control bot lane. That hasn't worked out.
Was Orianna in the end, as we did see. First blood turret going to go over to Hanwha Life, going to push them forward just a bit with the Rift Herald. No Drake to just get on top of. They were able to take them out Drake just before, so.
So many things are going way better than expected for Hanwha Life. They counterpick top side, Gen.G counterpick bottom side. Classic Gen.G. But the bot lane gank being successful, and now the Rift Herald has ended the laning phase with Soraka, who doesn't have the roam ability of the Morgana. The only thing Gen.G had claimed this game was a lot of control mid lane. The Orianna lane going better than expected. Skarner threatening for a turret dive with his flash. Now they lose that because the enemy bot lane can rotate mid lane, clear some wards, and buy some breathing room for Lava. So this is actually a big momentum shift that has gone the way of Hanwha Life, and they can start to double down on what's working. For example, ending the laning phase top lane for the Kennen, and also minimize the small area of mid lane where they were struggling a little bit.
The Kindred still on the 1 mark, was able to clarify that as we did just get a look at him. Looks like Gen.G has been doing a really good job, especially Ambition early on in the game. We talk about how Ambition sometimes isn't the super aggressive guy that's going to create kills, but he can be a bit more defensive. You know, he'll be there for the counter gank. He'll be there to take away objectives when the time is right. Looks like Kindred able to finally pick up his 2nd mark at least.
But the issue is he wasn't there where he needed to be. He was trying to jungle around other areas than bot lane and was exposed in the play that happened. And now it's one thing to be there for the counter gank. The moment you're not, the game can just snowball away. So the inaction may end up being very costly. Ambition is there to try to get a turret on the bottom side, but already huge tempo lead, of course, with all the free hitting that Kennen had done. And that means 2 turrets to 0 so far for Hanwha.
They're really trying to accelerate this game and take all the objectives early. Definitely the Infernal Drake is going to be really huge for them if they can pick that up. All that damage on their side. The Kennen, Kindred, Zoe, and the Ashe, and even the Morgana a little bit can benefit from that one.
As the game goes on, Gen.G will have their comp to fall back to. But around them, the game is being decided, and while it's not an explosive gold lead, it's been very solid play from Hanwha. It's sort of series where if you just win with 2 cheese strategies, people will just wave their finger and say, hey, the meta changes. What did you really, what did you really gain from this series? But if they win with a standard draft like this, then it means so much more for Hanwha and their hopes as the patches roll on and playoffs roll out. Watching around this Drake that's been delayed very heavily by Gen.G. They're not strong enough to start it as they're looking for the pick.
They catch him so well here. The arrow comes in, but in the end, looks like even Merc treads perhaps for this Skarner. He gets away from all the pick, but they do get the flash away from him in the end.
And that means the Summoner is down. He'll find it so difficult to posture around the Drake. They still really want this position, do Gen.G. Someone really should help them claim that Spire, but being surprisingly defensive here, Hanwha Life. They may be worth giving up the Drake control for a mid lane turret, but with Orianna staying in the spot, it's actually going to be Hanwha Life pulling back and showing a lot of restraint, all things considered.
Lava took way too much damage from the Orianna in the mid lane, and the poke onto the Kindred. You're not very tanky as a Kindred. Even just a couple of Ezreal Qs can really discourage you from going for any objective like that. So in the end, they give away the Infernal Drake, essentially, just because they took way too much damage. They gave up the position around it. Really nice warding around the Infernal Drake. Gen.G was also preparing for it quite well. 3 control wards as well as 2 forward wards to spot them coming in. Means that they do secure it for themselves.
Life back away, still looking for a way to actually force some summoners out of fly so they can take this mid lane turret. Much harder to do in a second Rift Herald, of course, to make a move there. That would complete their setup, take the mid lane turret, put down some control wards, get a pick off Baron, and take the Baron. It's the game plan they're looking for. Looking at the total damage dealt this game, maybe this will evolve into being a pretty good matchup. We already talked about the mechanics of the portal jump being predictable and QW being more reliable from the Ori. The shield nerf felt like a bit of a backhand to Orianna when she was down, but I think in general it's not that big a deal. 4-second duration to 2.5-second duration. You'll definitely take the dissonance buff over the shield being slightly lower duration. So we'll see if there's more Orianna play.
Yeah, it seems strong in the mid lane against the Zoe. We'll see what other picks is strong against, as well as potential for the bottom lane. You know, her range is not bad. You know, it's really good for harassing in the mid lane. This is about medium level, I'd say, and you can definitely get away with all of her harass down there, especially against picks that historically don't do so well against the harass. The Vladimir and other stuff.
Orianna this season, or this year I should say, from the start of spring season is 0-6, including the previous game. I'm going to try, if there's moments, to actually get a confirmation. We could always ask the producers if they know the last Orianna that won in the LCK. It really has been a long time. Even when other regions were played in spring season, it just kept getting out-skirmished. There never was the big team fight where she could be the general and shockwave 5 people in the LCK in recent memory.
Fly with command here of the mid lane, and Cuvée with the rotation down means that just a group up here from Gen G. They're looking to take this mid tier 1. Would be fantastic for their map control. Looks like they should be able to do it. Last hit there by Ruler. Meanwhile, Linderong never grouped up. He's just going for the push, and they do get that turret in the end.
Slow and steady, Hanwha Life. They aren't able to get the objective they really want, but taking further damage onto Inatar is not ideal either. There's just no lifeline for Cuvée. There's no item timing where he starts to win this matchup. If you go Rageblade especially, Cuvée just, as you can see, just gets annoyed. He's getting frustrated with cannons. The Teemo kind of situation going on this lane for the Mundo. The one time he actually feels fairly vulnerable so far when we've seen the side lanes has been this cannon.
Of a jump there, but Linderong is certainly doing his job this time around. He actually is kind of back now as I speak. Interestingly enough, looks like Cuvée has enough wave clear when he's actually there at the start of the wave coming on in, so it's not half bad.
Last victory for the Orianna was actually in the Worlds qualifiers last year. Crown won one game on it. Otherwise, it was completely defeated in 2017. So we're talking about one Orianna win in just a comical amount of time. Basically, the better part of 2 years.
We're having a pause here as it looks like there's some lag issues. And, you know, the game wasn't going on long enough, and they figured, hey, let's actually delay the game for after the start of the World Cup so that it's a little bit harder to watch. But seriously, yeah, it is just a little bit of lag issues. I thought maybe it was just our monitors, but then it happened a second time, and then the player paused. So definitely is a real issue here. Looks like everybody's staring at Lava's PC.
Been a couple of performance game issues around in-game lag at OGN the last couple of days. That was at the start of game. It's a bit awkward when it's a little bit further in, but hopefully it's just a passing thing. We want to know the resolution of what has been a long, weird, and wonderful series between Hanwha Life Esports and Gen G, both of them battling for that top 5.
You know, this is a weird and wonderful situation we find ourselves in here. Not sure what you do if this is, what if this game just totally borked and we had to redo it? I mean, no team is really that far ahead of the other, right? Hanwha Life is very slightly ahead of Gen G, but even then, the Orianna is doing really well. The Mundo is beginning to scale. You can argue that Gen G certainly have a very good position and definitely have a real way to win this game.
We obviously had the one example of a game being called over in the North American LCS earlier this season. That, of course, will not happen here. This would definitely be a full remake if Chrono Break couldn't happen because it isn't.
Oh, baby.
Like, to me, if you're asking me what percentage chance there is that Hanwha Life win this game, because I believe they're slightly ahead, I would say 53%. Like, we're talking about very minimal here because there's so many great scaling options on the side of Gen G, and it's a kill. So better than expected, but definitely not to the tune of anything else. Well, the crowd, which was brimming with people here, have, of course, departed because, A, maybe they want to watch the World Cup with their friends and families, and B, the last train has already departed. So when it comes to 11:40 p.m. endings, which you don't get in EU and NA because they start their regional play a bit earlier, you know, I do thank everyone who's here on the stream and the 200 or so people who have stuck around in the arena as well.
Yeah, the true fans, the passionate ones, and there were a couple of fan signs out there that were saying, you know, it's fine if we take a taxi. You know, I'm always going to stay here for the fan meet. We believe you're going to win. You know, talk to you later, stuff like that. Also, a lot of Chinese fans for Gen G as well. It makes sense, right?
KT, Gen G, yep.
They go over to China, they win Worlds, and they gain a lot of fans. That's usually the way it works.
Probably the frustration for Gen G was that they didn't get the kind of penetration to the Korean market they were hoping for, because winning a domestic title here is so heavily prized. Even the Rocks Tigers, when they were doing so admirably, but when they weren't winning titles, they never really gained a huge fandom until right at the end, before they eventually, of course, went on to become all over the place. As Ambition looks like someone who'd really like to watch the football.
He's like, get me out of here right now.
Well, even though I have been here with 3 different play-by-plays for 6 games, I'm still stoked about this game and where it's going, because I want to see some late-game Orianna. We haven't seen it in forever.
No, I love Orianna. I used to play her all the time, and
getting an update here that there seems to be a performance issue around Lava's Q. Oh, that's actually really bad. So apparently the issue was that Lava's Q was going invisible.
Uh-oh.
That's not a good issue. So hopefully that's one that can be fixed.
Well, generally, you want to see where the paddle star is going, and
it's the AP Nidalee bug again.
Usually when this happens, if it's this kind of bug, this requires a restart of the game.
Don't say things like that out loud. Hopefully, it's not going to be that big an issue here. Sounds like they're doing a couple of tests to diagnose any further problems.
Yeah, be interesting to see exactly.
It's moments like this where you start to appreciate the difference between esports and traditional sports. Because I guess the most borked a World Cup match gets is the weather. The weather, I guess, is changes the playing field, but
I would argue there's a ridiculous amount of time spent wasting rolling around on the ground.
I just mean, let's say you're practicing for the World Cup final. You're running around. It's you're not necessarily preparing for an intense downpour. Rain is something that definitely heavily affects the play style. Rain kind of feels like lag, if you think about it, right, in terms of the impact it would have on a game in terms of performance. But it's just a lot more realistic and like reliable an issue than perhaps the certain things. Like if the ball went invisible, that would suck if you're trying to save a penalty kick, you know?
I don't think that would actually suck, though, because if the ball started to go invisible, I think we would be seeing some really interesting headlines begin to pop up, you know? Like, our world would get a lot more interesting.
Wouldn't it be fun to...
if all of a sudden soccer balls started going invisible?
Like, wouldn't it be fun to, like, project some of the issues that have happened in League of Legends games to sports as if they're big headlines? Like, I couldn't save the penalty because the ball went invisible from my perspective. Because then people will be like, you need to see a doctor for a couple of reasons.
The game has started, guys. We didn't get an update. I guess
we didn't.
I guess the test went well, but the turret is down. All right, here we go.
Coster information issue.
Yeah.
That's okay. We're ready to watch some video games. The good news is that we think the problem is fixed, but it's not. It sounds like there's no finality to the voice of our producer, so fingers crossed.
She's like, we tried to maybe test it.
Hey, we're just trying to get to the resolution of this series, Valdez. Our ratings are going to go way down when the hand-egg video game final real-life situation happens in 18 minutes' time.
Yeah. Eventually, the tech is going to get so good that people can bring in their handheld projectors and just start projecting holograms of other soccer balls onto the field and really confuse the players. That's when it's going to get really fun.
Can you tell me when it gets fun with Zoe? I haven't really been able to feel it on the other side of the Zoe.
Are you feeling it now?
I'm only a Zoe watcher. I've actually never played Zoe.
I've tried to play her a bit. It did not go well. It's a lot harder than it looks, that's for sure. It definitely requires a lot of practice, that one.
There's about 6 champions I've never played. Zoe's on the list. Talia's on the list as well.
Talia definitely felt that way for me until I just decided I was going to do it. Lava forced to use his real flash, actually, to get out of dodge there. Ambition. Scary Scorpion was closing in.
Kind of cool thing that we missed is that no QSS was picked up against Skarner. Went Banshee Veil, but you can see very clearly that Ambition can pop it with the Chilling Smite and then go for the ult. So still going to have to be very respectful. Linderung having just a world of fun, double procking the Play the Ruin King with his Rage Blade. This is the My Life Sucks Mundo situation, but given how much fun Mundo's been having this season, we can't feel bad for him.
Yeah. You get the zoom in onto Fly as he picks up his Death Cap second. This Orianna is going to be doing ridiculous amounts of damage.
And you know, there's a lot of squishy people who are going to have to RSVP to her Shockwave party. That's not good, not good. And that's why Hanwha Life say, let's just keep pushing the cannon into Mundo and not grouping up for that big Shockwave.
Yeah. Well, lots of different, you know, you think about the Kindred can probably pop out of the Shockwave. The Ashe, though, is going to have to flash out of that one. Maybe a portal jump out of the Zoe and the Black Shield from the Morgana to save the Ashe, who has the least amount of mobility on her team. But certainly if the stars align, I mean, we could have some ridiculous wombo combo here from Gen G. You can already see their poke, right? The Ezreal and the Orianna alone just make it really hard to go up against this team if you're not hard engaging.
He's checking is difficult as Ambition.
Really nice Black Shield, but it doesn't look like it's enough. Where's the damage, though? Someone survived long enough to put down his Lamb's Respite after the stopwatch and survive Ambition. They zoned Fly out so that he couldn't deal the follow-up damage after the Impale came through.
That was pretty awkward. It looked for sure that Sungwon would go down. They take the mid lane turret. We see already a lot of damage topside as Chilling Smite and Flash.
Well, you are going to get out of that one as... well, you're not going to get out of that one as the flash comes through in from Ambition, so they're able to tie it up in terms of getting a kill down into the bottom lane. Now 1-1 here at 26 minutes.
Linderung probably should have kept up to the Summoner and just accepted his fate. Now it doesn't have flash for the next time he goes to overextend and try to take a turret. Mundo happy for the extra time. I'd like to see a replay. I believe the Shockwave missed onto the Kindred, but it seemed like a lot of time for them to punch through about 200 more damage onto the Kindred, but it never actually happened.
Look at this, Cuvee just buys himself so much time. The cannon is still dead, actually. Nobody else can go down there and challenge him.
And when the map control goes to the side of Gen G, the challenging of even vision around Baron becomes really tricky. They need the cannon pressuring so that someone extra is sent there, and then 4v3, maybe they can set up some sort of vision control. But if you're face checking Orianna, Skarner, and all the other threat on the side of Gen G as this intensely squishy lineup from Hanwha Life, you're going to lose more often than you win. Right now, seeing them poke, they still have plenty of chance this game to Hanwha Life, but every moment like this is so risky.
Uh-oh, Sungwon, he's kind of zoned there by the dissonance. There was no Black Shield, no Morgana in this game. He might just eat a shockwave to the face because Orianna can certainly 100-0 him at this point.
USS picked up by 3 members. Banshee Veil we already outlined, and Morgana a bit out of luck when it comes to dealing with that. Kennen back in the side lane. He does have the QSS, but hard to see a big outplay with it at the moment that Skarner is drawn. Good news for Kennen is, if Skarner's drawn again, maybe Hanwha Life can actually show some threat onto the Baron that for now, they're finding it very difficult to get near.
Got that Rift Scuttler down in the bottom side that the Kindred could try to go down and pick off, but not sure about the vision. Doesn't want to get too far away. Gonna just try to steal the Wolves here first. from their own jungle. Songyun alone up in the top side trying to go up against Fly. That's actually really scary. He doesn't want to get too close to that ball. And so they're just going to zone him out, and not a fast enough rotation means essentially a free turret goes over to Gen G in the top side.
Gen G are playing so smart around the comp that they have and the vision they've placed around Baron, because they can cut every direction, and you know the squishies aren't going to be strong enough. They have to stop Baron because of the split push being successful.
This game is so even in terms of gold, in terms of kills, of course. The arrow's going to come through. It gets a really long stun onto the Orianna. Here comes Hanwha as well. They're going to zone him out, and this buys a lot more time for Linderong to actually push in.
And what are they going to do? Are they going to start and once again stay on the Baron? Are they going to poke out? Ruler does cancel his back.
The trouble bubble is going to miss too, which means that finally they do have to pull off.
Watch the multi-view. We can't see the turret out there. We can. It's about
so
20%. So it's all about the to and fro from these two as the Baron is leashed and releashed. They're going to take over vision. So they weren't able to get a Baron out of this or the inhibitor turret just yet, but they are able to push up vision to an area they haven't for a long time.
Yeah, they even pick up a cheeky red buff for your Kindred, which will go a long way in terms of kiting down this team and poking them ahead. He's able to only get 3 marks so far. That's the best
awkward.
Kindred.
3 Kindred marks compared to 4, as you don't have that 75 range. The build is also a utility one, so no Blood Razor to have Baron threat and no Black Cleaver complete yet. There is a bot side scuttle as 1 auto attack left for Linderong on this turret.
I feel like don't even attack the Mundo with Warmox. When the next wave comes in, he's going to have full health. While he's clearing the wave, take out the turret, and then you can begin to push in. Linderong a little bit slow on this one, but he will eventually get the pick. Notice that Ambition is beginning to pull around, and so on. I mentioned it before with the red buff, kiting down Fly. They're looking for the engage here. Here comes the arrow. The cleanse, though, onto Fly, and someone not able to get the Lancer. Spite down gets way too frisky and far ahead of his team. And now with the TP coming in, Gen G, they want to engage in a big way. Really nice trouble bubble to stop it for now, but the flash forward from Ruler is going to be able to take out Songyun. Keep in mind that this bottom inhibitor is going to go down, but Gen G should get the free Baron.
What's going to happen now, though, once this goes down, what's the decision from Linderong? He's going to stay. Right now he's backing away. There's probably no teleport play to make. He might as well just take a Nexus turret.
Yeah, he's moving on in. Looks like that is going to be the case here. Ruler eating a little bit of damage there from Lava. Trying to move in. Fly getting extremely low. But there is the wish to push everybody above the health. And down goes that Baron. But look at that Nexus turret gets taken out here by Linderong. That win condition still available down on the bot side.
Yeah, that was Lava's real flash as well. Had another one that he thriftily picked up. They get away. 1 Nexus turret goes down. So it's still a very good push from Linderong. That's what you have to do when your smite is down. Songwon just didn't respect the ball position and got killed by the shockwave. That means they walk over, and in all the pressure, they can drop back to an Infernal Drake. So definitely never feels great to pick up the Baron. And I think Gen G need to group and look for a turret dive to actually get a big objective or end the game during the Baron duration.
Yeah, they need to push it while they have this advantage. I mean, that bottom lane, though, is going to be so annoying, right? It might just have to be the bottom side because you never know what that slippery cannon is going to do with his teleports. Even the top side was being pushed in amongst all the hullabaloo, and so Fly going to come up here, push this one out. You notice that Cuvée is on clearing duty in the bottom side. They're not really in a position to group up as 5 and go for a tower dive just yet.
I think it's so tricky. I know pro teams hate to do this, and you would imagine Gen G is the most reticent, but if you think about how you can win this game and how you can lose it, the only lose is the Baron gets no value because Linderong runs at the Mundo, and the Mundo doesn't die because he has Baron but doesn't push anything. You've got a Mundo who can turret dive. You've got Skarner who has his flash up. I think you just make a really assertive move and just end the game on the no-flash Ashe, the no-flash Lava, because it sounds like that should be pretty trivial to get a lot of value out of the Shockwave.
You can see the quest, I suppose, here for Cannon. He got the bottom side, now he's looking for the top side. Puts Gen G into another awkward position where you don't want to send your Mundo back, but you essentially have to unless you want to lose another inhibitor. But again, we saw what can happen against it. They really need that Baron buff. Here we have 4 members of Gen G pushing into the bottom lane, though.
They should definitely try to force here Gen G, but they don't have anyone other than Ambition as a frontliner. They have a lot of poke damage, though.
He's not really the tankiest Skarner ever. Just trying to push them back with the Predator, he will be able to do that. And Hanwha, you can see the poke that goes onto them just by a couple of abilities from Ruler. And they're not just done yet, they're going to continue pushing in.
This is the right move from Gen G. They need to keep the pressure up. What will Hanwha Life Esports do?
They're going to need to fight eventually. Ruler with the insta QSS is going to get out of dodge, and even the Nexus turret does survive for now. They're waiting for the next wave to push on in.
But this is what you want. You want to keep them on. It's going to keep posturing forward. Fly could win the game with a shockwave here.
He's going to be slept for now. Isn't going to use that cleanse. Down does go the Nexus turret. This game on a knife's edge right now. Gen G with only 30 seconds of Baron just yet.
One more wave.
Okay, they're going to wait for it. They keep that cannon alive for now. Unfortunately, though, it is going to get a little bit too close. Down it does go. Next wave will not have the cannon. Can they push it in with 20 seconds left on the Baron and actually end the game?
We're going to get to see it, Valdez. Let's have a look for this.
With a flash in from Ambition. A little bit excited there.
The answer is no.
I'd have to say, not able to get in range onto Lava, who didn't even have his flash. And so, there you go. They hold it off. Once again, Linderong still pushing up on the top side. The Baron buff is going to go down just now. And now what do you do as Gen G?
Well, unfortunately, you're in the worst spot. Some backs are being interrupted.
Oh, if that trouble bubble landed, Ruler could have been in a lot of trouble with this QSS down. But you can see that they're chasing them. They don't want them to back. Hanwha Life playing this really well right now, trying to get them into an awkward spot. Ruler now just going to jump the wall, but here comes someone trying to get on top of him. They will not fully commit. Again, they just want to stop the backs.
With the Baron buff wearing off, the cannon can actually get a lot more turret shots in because it's quicker to kill the minions. That's why they're trying to buy time so severely on the bottom side of the map. But now he'll back away. I'm sure comical amount of gold in the inventory. Gen G did not want to roll the dice. They were not willing to send Cuvée to basically be a ball delivery system. And that means that Songyun's flash is going to be up momentarily. And Lava will have his as well. The reliability of the shockwave to me should have meant, let's just go for the all-in, dive under a turret, Orianna, and the Mundo will do the rest. We didn't see that, and that means this game could actually extend for quite a significant amount of time.
That's exactly what we're looking for here. Another Elder Drake, another Baron. That bottom inhibitor is going to be really good news for Gen G that does respawn. It buys them a lot of time to try to continue pushing in. They don't have the Baron buff, so it's a lot harder to push and dive turrets, but you get pokes like that. And, well, CoreJJ is not living his life right now.
Kind of accidentally almost got one shot in that one, so, oh boy. The Unicorn is going to have to stay back and not want to deal with that anymore.
You see that Mundo right now is up on the top side. He's waiting, biding his time. He knows that he can't really fight Kennen in the middle of the lane, so gonna wait until that pushes in and try to defend the inhibitor when it does come down to it.
This game is surprisingly tense for a intensely low kill game. 4 overall, 1 to Hanwha Life, 3 to Gen G. We got Mundo repping the 0-0-0. If he could end the game 0-0-0 in a victory or a loss, it'd be pretty high.
It could happen, you know.
I know.
He's defending the bottom side, doesn't die.
Consider the previous play that happened.
Exactly, yeah.
If they had actually got a shockwave and killed 2 people, he would have ended the game 0-0-0.
Trying to poke down Songyun here. He nearly goes down.
Ooh.
The Ezreal ultimate goes wide. You've been getting really close there, trying to land a cleaver. Thankfully, he is Mundo and doesn't care about anything. Lava with the black shield is going to be totally fine. Looking to poke down now. Ruler eating forward. Doesn't really seem to care. Kennen returning to the top lane this time.
Gen G's going to spend a lot of time pushing up. It's going to take Linderong the better part of 25 seconds to push this minion wave, and he doesn't have much coverage vision as Lava continues to poke.
It's really the name of the game here for Lava. He's going to be the really big key. If they can get a big chunk of damage down onto Fly, onto Ruler, onto CoreJJ, it makes it so much harder for Gen G to fight.
How fast can Linderong kill Cuvée at his item timings? He has armor penetration on-hit cannon. All about getting more and more value out of the on-hit from the Blade of the Ruin King. Does big damage to him, but speaking of big damage, this is a pretty damn tanky Elder Dragon. And right now, it seems like Hanwha Life, with no one to face check, can't walk up to him.
Look at the play here for Hanwha Life. They're going to go for the Baron. All the assist pings up on the top side. They're going to give away the Elder. I'm not sure if they're going to be fast enough, though. Cuvée going to come in here and spot this, try to slow down Linderong. Gen G running as fast as they possibly can, but
too slow.
It's not going to be enough. They're not going to get there on time. Cube, he's super tanky, has the stopwatch still in this game. Someone now trying to run away, but he's actually going to get caught here. Has the QSS. The stun comes through. He's forced to flash. And in the end, Gen G will get the better half of this trade.
It's so important for Gen G because now they get the Spire. They walk up to Baron and face check and get a shockwave in your face. And as you can see in the multi-view, we also know that they've had to 2-3-man disengage. Free Baron, Gen G.
Crazy turn of events. Good call by Gen G to go for that Elder Drake. I wasn't so sure. I thought maybe, perhaps, the Zoe could poke them down, but she was in the bottom lane trying to stop the push, which was part of the reason why eventually they could not contest at that Baron. So Baron and Elder Drake, if there's ever a time to go for the same play you were talking about, now is the time.
They are so decked with items. Even though Fly is at 3 with his boots making it a 4th, they have a lot of ability power. They have also the 16%, I guess 12% AD and AP, and also the burn on every skill they have. Even tanks now are threats they weren't before. We mentioned, why not try to end the game with the first Baron? They didn't do that, but this time, big boy Cubase coming along. Now they can walk up and, yep, anything hits onto the side of Hanwha Life, they go down like a hot knife through butter.
Certainly here, trying to land whatever he can. The arrow goes down on a ruler. He's a little bit slower on the QSS, but Soraka heals him up, and he's back to work. Notice that Kennen, Linderong, he stopped split pushing. He was in the bottom lane, but then they call him back. They say, we need you to stop this push. And they're absolutely correct. 40 seconds left here on the Elder Drake. Down goes this inhibitor turret in the mid lane. They're going to be looking for the picks and just the zoning. Let the Ezreal take out the inhibitor and push in with that massive wave you have in the mid lane.
And it's only one Nexus turret, so this shouldn't be the slowest push ever. Flash on Ambition again.
Oh, that poke forward from Ruler. Look at Sungwon's health. That's all from Ruler. Just disappears on the map. They don't even have to push this super fast just yet. Just have Ruler hop forward, attack it once. The cannon minions are dealing with it right now.
Slow and steady, the Gen G way. They read the tortoise in the hare like the rest of us, and they took it to heart. This should be the last Nexus turret as Flash.
Oh, where'd he go? He tried the portal jump, but he gets pulled in anyway. Down will go Key, and that should be able to do it. Down goes the cannon, and as the clock strikes 12, Gen G finally are going to be able to take game number 3. They want more kills. They're not ready to go with this one just yet. They want to take out someone here, and that they will. The pentakill and the death over to Ruler, and the 2-1 victory to Gen G.
Gen G get over the line. They get the pentakill. They feel great about it. Congratulations to them. The world champions are able to take down Hanwha Life 2-1 in the first and second round robin. That head-to-head could be so important as we have so much parity when it comes to the top teams in the LCK. They brought in Ambition, and Ambition did what Ambition always does. Squares them up. Defensive play. Don't allow any funny business. They were able to close it out through that, but only just. Hanwha Life were dogged in trying the split push, but by the end, the split push was beaten by the straight line Orianna comp as Orianna picks up her first regular season victory in the better part of 2 years.
Yeah, we didn't see too much action until the end of the game. There was only 4 kills before that final push at 40-minute mark, so we didn't really get to see her in action and the amount of damage that she can really do to chunk people out in these team fights or any big shockwaves or anything like that, but it definitely looks strong against the Zoe in the laning phase. It looks strong overall as long as you do not get caught and you run that cleanse against a pick comp. So at the end of the day, like the Orianna pick, great play here from Gen G. They're going to take it. The clock strikes 12 here in Korea, which means that the soccer has started. You guys, great to have you here up until the final moments, all you super passionate fans out there. But the rest that we do have here is going to be the interview after the highlights and the stats. Ambition, not looking super happy, doing his thing. I'm sure he's happy on the inside.
You'd have to hope so. Ambition, not a man to show his emotions unless he's gushing about his wife that he is very, very fond of. Watching some of the replays here. Look at that chilling smite. Amazing skill shot accuracy as he flashes in to get the kill. Looking for the picks here, and Hanwha Life had a nice lead as that was the time we got to see the replay of Sungwon instantly dying. By the end, you remember how Orianna Shockwave and Orianna comps work. You have a lot of utility to make your AD carry run real fast, and with those Elder Drake buffs, this Ezreal was hitting like a truck.
was a funny interaction there between the portal jump and the Skarner Impale. We saw it in action there. Good teamwork from Genji to get Ruler the pentakill. They let him die though in the end.
GA, it does not help you with the fountain laser, as Genji do get so much damage out of their Ezreal. 2 games of Ezreal in a row, 2 victories for Genji. No Tom Kench friend, but no problem for Genji. For Hanwha Life, it's another one of those matches against top teams where they're close. They want to hope this is not going to be the trend against Afrika, KT, and all the other teams they have to repeat against. Because if they do drop series against the top 5, maybe they will once again fall agonizingly short of the playoffs.
It's really competitive up at the top. Any team can win. I was actually expecting Hanwha Life to come in here and maybe even 2-0 Genji, but Genji proved me wrong and say, no, we're still here. We're still up towards the top. We are still a very strong team, even though we sometimes falter. So, proving a lot to me, to the fans, and they definitely earn a very hard win. You know, a lot of other teams have been struggling up against Hanwha Life. We mentioned, you know, KT falling down to them, as well as the Afrika Freaks. So,
Genji do the double over them, and the only 2 other teams that Hanwha Life have lost series to are Griffin and Kingzone. Fun fact, the only team in the league who hasn't been 2-0'd at any point is Hanwha Life Esports. They've won at least 1 game in every series they've lost.
Yeah. They are a tenacious team. They're never going to go down without a fight, that's for sure. Even to the end here in this last game. You always had that feeling that maybe Linderon could pull it through in the side lane. At the end of the day, though, the MVP goes over to the winning AD carry. Ruler had a really good game on the Ezreal. More so than the Orianna poke, it was really the Ezreal that was just making everybody irrelevant. The very squishy comp could not deal with the poke from the Ezreal. They didn't have a front line, and they eventually pushed it in.
720 rule it from Ruler here. 7 kills, 2 deaths, 0 assists, 0 problems for Genji. Seems like it's time for that interview, Valdez.
Yep, I'll hand it over to G-Sun, and we'll join you guys in just a little bit.
Thank you very much. This is Jason with your interview translation, and here today we're joined by Cube and Ruler from Genji Esports. Congratulations on the win. Thank you, thank you. You guys seem tired a little bit. Yeah, we're a little bit exhausted. Let's make a short interview right now, so.
예전에 그 안쪽에서 팀원끼리 얘기했었을 때 그런 얘기 있었잖아요.
Cube.
언제적 MVP냐, 뭐 팀원들끼리 웃으면서 얘기했었는데.
It has been a while since you picked up the MVP points.
깜빡하고 있어서 많은 사람들이. 근데 오늘 완전 임팩트 제대로 한번.
But today you have proven yourself as a big player. I think my opponent made a lot of mistakes, and I kind of made advantage of that. But I was lucky to pick up MVP today.
그게 원래 그런 상황이 되면은
Well, yeah, when you're in a really big danger, you just do your best, and I was lucky enough to pick up the kills at that moment. And once again, traditional AD carry player, Ruler. So how was your play today? Well, I'm not really satisfied with my play overall. Well, I actually did really bad during the practice games. So, you know, I used to get stressed out a lot recently. Well, I just told my coaching staff that I will do my best, but I wasn't really confident. But it's really relieving that I picked up the victory in the end.
경기가 잘 안 풀렸다라고 보기는 좀 어려웠었어요. 그러니까 몇 개 장면들은 괜찮았거든요. 그러다가 이제 좀
Well, game 1, it was very close. And moving on to game 2, well, actually Ambition subbed in, right? So what kind of change did you guys try to pursue at that moment? So yeah, we just said that let's just try the open team fight a little bit more.
그래서 그런지 굉장히 좀 여유가 있었어요. 1세트가 이제
So even though you guys lost out the first set, yeah, you guys really seem like depressed or worried a lot.
좋았다라는 느낌이 아니긴 했어가지고.
Yeah, I think the first set it wasn't like Hanwha did well, so they picked up the victory. It was like Genji maybe doing bad, so Hanwha was able to pick up the win. So we were just thinking that we should just repair on our mistakes. And nowadays I think I am underperforming and I'm not at my full force right now, so I think I have to practice more.
아까 전 잠깐 말씀드렸던 그게 각이 나오긴 나온 거예요? 아니면 진짜 말씀 그대로 그냥 막 움직이다 그런 건지.
So moving on to game 2, tell us about the turret dive.
뒤에 한번 보시죠. 요건데
네네.
누가 봐도 빼박 1대3. 이거 어떻게?
It was 1v3 and everyone thought you were dead.
치다가 상대가
So you just
안
do your
되면은
best at the moment you can.
괜찮은데 하면서 이제 내가 잡을 수 있겠다.
And then I felt like, oh, maybe I can manage to escape out.
잡혔더라고. 그래서
And I was lucky enough to pick up double kills over there.
전문가적인 얘기네요. 일단 이거를 이 장면, 이 마지막에 한타가 이제 적중이 되면서
네네.
마무리가 계속 깔끔하게 되는 모습이었었는데 이 장면 때문에 실질적으로 경기는 이따 터졌다라는 얘기가 있었어요.
So
완전 이 장면
I
때문에
think that was the
없었고,
start of
경기만 이제 그대로
Genji
마감이 되면
being
Q의
able to pick up the victory for game 2.
아 네.
이때는 뭐 좀 느낌이 왔었어요. MVP 확정이
So
됐는데.
did you kind of feel like you're gonna be the MVP of that set?
그러니까 제가 잘 꺼서 제가 어떻게 불려야 할지 좀 생각을 많이 했거든요.
Well, I wasn't really
오늘 경기
thinking a lot about the MVP because I was really busy playing the game. So I was trying to focus on team fights and so on.
승이 굉장히 소중했었던 것 같은데 그래서 그런지 끝나고 나서 더 좀 짜릿한 느낌이 있었던 것 같아요.
So
저는
currently, you know, every team is so intensely fighting during the games, and you know all the ranks are so close with each other. So you guys seem really happy after picking up the victory.
잘했던 장면이 있나요?
Yeah, I just felt a little bit like relieving.
그냥 팀적으로 그냥 한타에서 한 거라서 별로 제가
Well, even about the pentakill, it wasn't my super play. It was all just like teamwork from the whole Genji squad.
펜타킬이에요. 네. 이 장면 그래도 본인이 잘했기 때문에 만들어진 펜타킬.
So any other comments, Ruler?
다 같이 잘했던 것 같아요 이 장면은.
I think we all five did well at that moment.
다 같은 파이팅.
뭐 게임 이긴 거면 다 같이 잘했다 생각합니다.
그렇습니다. 지금 사실 인터뷰의 신이라고 불리우는 지금 룰러도 12시 넘은 아닌가.
The Ruler, even though he's a god of interview, he seemed a little bit tired in the 12 a.m. right now.
장면들이 있었습니다. 사실 이 장면 만들어지기 이제 전에도
Before this moment,
그 팬들이 궁금하셨던 게 이제 오리아나 픽이었어요.
well, a lot of fans were curious about Orianna pick.
저희가 이제 조이 상대로 할 게 몇 개 있었는데 상대 쪽에서 좀 배이 나왔거든요.
So we are thinking of several cards to put on mid lane against Zoe.
우리로 좀 별로이
And
나왔어요.
so yeah, they banned out some of our possible mid lane champions. So we ended up locking in Orianna.
생일이 9분 지났습니다. 하지만 우리 생일은 앞뒤로 일주일
And we
아니겠습니까?
heard that
그런 의미에서
Today was
오늘
one of your
주인공
coach's birthday.
한 분. 지훈대 코치 잠깐 무대로 한번 모셔보겠습니다.
So let's bring him up to the stage.
고맙습니다. 함께 해주셨군요.
Thank you for being here.
사실 모시기 굉장히 어려운 분인데 일단 나오셔서 감사의 말씀
Long time no
드리겠습니다.
see and thank you for being here for the interview.
것 같은데. 근데 오늘 경기 한 말씀 좀 승리 소감 한 말씀 부탁드릴까요?
So how do you feel today?
일단 이겨서 기분 좋긴 한데
I'm really happy that we won the game, but I'm not really satisfied with our players' performance. So I'm feeling a little bit sad.
끝내야 된다 이런 생각 안 들었어요?
예, 저도 사실 그거 원했는데 딱
But
12시에 끝나더라고요.
I actually wanted the game to end before my birthday ends, but sadly it's past 12 a.m. So I'm extra sad right now.
킬로 선물해 준 것 같아요.
But you know, Ezreal Pentakill was birthday present for me.
에너지를 많이 쏘셔가지고 저희가 따로 준비한 게 있어요.
Well, we actually prepared additional present for you.
자, 한번 이렇게 생일 선물 겸 모두 같이 즐길 수 있는 선물 한번 준비해봤습니다. 한번 열어보실래요? 네.
Could you open it up?
핫도그 세트예요.
It's a gift box full of corn dogs.
굉장히 이 근처에 맛집이라고 소문난 그 지역에서 특히 선물 세트를 한번 준비를 해봤습니다.
No, there's a really famous corn dog place nearby, so
체력도 좀 보충하실
we
겸
got
들어가셔서
plenty of
잘
them.
드시면
So I hope you guys share them on the way back to house.
지금 모시는 것도 어려우니까 일단 선수들과 이제 마지막 한마디씩 하기 전에 끝으로 이제 팬 여러분들께서
Lastly,
e스포츠의 최근의 그 흐름들에 대해서 또 계속해서 응원해주고 계시잖아요.
A lot of fans have been supporting for Genji, and there are a lot of fans out here to cheer for Genji.
팬 여러분께 한 말씀 부탁드릴까요?
Any message for them?
일단 지금 늦은 시간까지 이렇게 응원해 주셔서 감사드리고요.
So thank you for staying with us until this late night, and we're gonna come back with better performance in our upcoming schedules.
감사합니다. 그리고 이제 아무래도 다음 경기에 대한 말씀을 안 드릴 수가 없는 것이 다음 경기가 이제 킹존입니다.
So your next opponent will be King Zone.
탑 솔로에 대한 관심이 막 미친 듯이 올라오고
And
있어요.
you know, the matchup in the top lane, everyone's so interested about it.
어떻습니까?
그냥 사실 좀 누가 이길지 저도 잘 모르겠어요.
Well, I can't really tell who would win because King Zone looks really strong, but we do also look strong. So I think the most important thing is to getting the imperfection out of the way.
키포인트라고 할 거 없이 그냥 모두가 잘해야지 이길 수 있다 생각해요 저는.
그 중에서 조금만 더 잘하면 좋을 것 같은 선수가 있으면
I think
좋아했을
all the 5 players has to do their best.
자신감이 없다고 하는 재혁이가
Or maybe Ruler, he's kind of feeling less confident nowadays. So I hope he shows better performance in next game.
어떻습니까, 룰러 선수?
What about you, Ruler?
사실 펜타킬 이게 우물킬을 한 거잖아요. 근데 별로 좋아하시는 분들이 이렇게 많이 계시진 않더라고요. 우물킬을.
Well, you know, about the pentakill, maybe some people may not like it because I like.
뭐 잘할게요.
Well, I mean, I was lucky to get the pentakill, so maybe some fans will not be satisfied. But I'm gonna just promise that I will come back with better performance.
상위권과의 경쟁에서는 분명히 이게 좀 양분이 되고 자산이 될 거라 저희는 믿어 의심치 않습니다. 그리고 이제는 좀 기분 좋게. 특히나 오늘 중화권에서도 팬 여러분께서 많이 오셨더라고요.
Well, you know, there are a lot of fans out here to support you. Especially there were fans from China. So is there any message for them?
LMS 지역과 LPL 지역에서 진짜 많이 오셨어요.
And a lot of fans from LMS and LPL fans has came to the arena to support you. Thank you in Chinese.
못 알아들은 것 같은데 어쨌든 섹시 감사하다는 그런 얘기로 마무리를 졌습니다. 자 이렇게 해서 오랜 시간 동안 함께 했었던 오늘의 경기
So it was a very long match for today, and you guys were able to pick up 2-1 victory against Hanwha Life Esports. So we will wrap up this interview right here, and I will pass it back to our casters. Thank you.
큰 박수 부탁드리겠습니다.
Thank you for that translation, Ji-san. Was a bit of a quicker one as things have passed 12 midnight here at the Nexon Arena Sunday night in Gangnam. We finally end it with 3 longer games, but Gen.G able to pull it out in the end up against a very tough Hanwha Life Esports opponent. Congratulations to them.
Definitely the better team over the course of 3 games, and that means we have this giant sandwich of teams around 2nd through 5th, honestly, or 6th or 7th, because we have tied teams as well. MVP not that far off the pace, but maybe we're starting to see a bit of a gap open up. Here's the week that was. The games, weird and wonderful. Average game time going up after the 7-13 changes. Makes playing safely even easier. We come back to some fun games when we come back next week. Afrika Freaks versus Griffin.
I'm going to have my Griffin stickers on, guys. Don't you worry. The bets will be held here at SPO TV, as is always the case. As for you guys who don't know, I did bet against Griffin when they were facing King Zone. I said if they did win, then I would paint their logo on my face, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. And it should be a lot of fun. It's a fantastic matchup, of course. We'll see if Griffin can do it here up against Afrika once again.
Well, I hope you look really silly, as we've had some real fun over here. Long night tonight, over 7 hours today. We're closing out now. Go watch the World Cup final, even if you're not a soccer, football, hand egg, whatever you want to call it, fan. It should be a fun spectacle. It's already started, so you should definitely get in there and enjoy it. I know we will when we finally get to our final destination tonight.
Eventually.
A long one, but a fun one. But even though it's only 1 day off of Korean League of Legends, I can't help but admit to you guys at home that I just want to come back and watch that Afrika versus Griffin match. I need to see more Griffin. I need to see how this season ends. And that's coming up faster than you might expect.
Don't worry, Papa. You'll be here every day. You'll see it through to the end. We'll be here with you along the way.
I'm feeling my mortality, Valdez.
You know, you had a long 3 days. Lots of hours added up.
I wouldn't do it any other way.
Yeah. Feeling the burn, but it's a good burn, I suppose, after all of that. Afrika versus Griffin will be on Tuesday. Make sure to join us then. Won't be any soccer to get in the way or distract us on that day. So, should be a lot of fun.
And hopefully a good night's sleep when we get to it. We've earned it today, Valdez. It's been a long one.
Yeah, we definitely have. Thank you so much, guys, for sticking with us until the end, even after the interviews. We'll see you on Tuesday once again. And until then, Godspeed and good night here at Spo TV Gangnam. There we go. We'll see you next time.
It's been many days, many ways misled, knowing that I'm tiptoeing on both sides of the fence, trying to figure it out, but I'm living in doubt. So scared one day that your grace might run out, cause I'm so far from perfect, so close to worthless, feeling no good for worship, trying to understand this life that you purchased. Am I just a man destined for death, or do I deserve it? You died for my sins and that's the verdict. You carried out God's true will and purpose with urgency for the sake of love, forgiveness and eternity. Your grace is enough. I got so many questions, so many things to change. I'm calling out, but sometimes you're far away. I get discouraged and seem to always fall flat, but that's when you pick me up and bring me back.